from that West Side, California. So I always represent that. You know, sound like I'm saying where I'm from. Like, where you from? I'm from West Side, California. Originally born and raised Fresno, California, and but represent Jamaica as well. Family origins as well. I'm Black American and I'm also Jamaican. I'm Jamaican and Black American. And I now live in Paris, France. Been here for legally 4 years, illegally 5.5 years. You know, so that's something. Like, okay, yeah. So, sometimes you got to do the paperwork a little bit different. And when I first came out here, I definitely wasn't thinking about any of that. I was just like, I'm just gonna catch a flight. I'm gonna stay. And just kind of, and eventually I had to go through the proper ways of doing things if I was going to do it. But yeah, so yeah, I say 4 years officially, 5.5 years illegally. French, English, and Jamaican patois. I didn't know any French before I got out here. I think I knew bonjour. I knew nothing, zero. I didn't know anything. And so when you get, and didn't have no background in it, nothing. Just I knew France was one of the places I want to visit based off of the Black American history that's associated with this place and the things that I was kind of living through at that time in LA. And it just seemed, it's hard to remember exactly what my ideas were at Paris back then because it's changed so much, but I do know that I knew that it was a place that had a history there. And, it's where other people see it as this romantic city. I knew that there was a strong Black presence here in terms of intellectuals and artists and all that. So I was like, I definitely want to see what that's about and see, just see some things, just see some things. But I went to Kenya. I didn't know Swahili. I didn't know, I've always been that type of person. I'm not even saying I went to crazy places to where I couldn't communicate at all, but I've just always been a person that I know I can figure out a way anywhere. It didn't matter if I knew the language or not, I'm gonna figure it out. I think the first time that I came to Paris, I was living in Los Angeles at the time. In LA about a decade, 10 years, my formative years. So, and things were getting crazy and I just needed to change the pace. And at that time, I just wanted to visit. I didn't even know that I was going to end up actually staying here. But outside of that, as a kid, I had a school project, and they told us we had to get a globe, right? Had to get a globe. It was so they wanted you to buy a globe. And of course, the type of student I waited till the last minute to tell my mom I needed a globe. And it was like, I was always smart, but I just didn't. I don't know. School wasn't for me in the same way. But I was telling my mom, I was like, hey mom, I got a project due tomorrow. It's like, tomorrow? What you asking? What you telling me? What you need a project for? I need you to get me a globe. Boy, so you need me to get you a globe. Like she was ready to. She might. I don't even remember on that one. She was ready to definitely handle me. But she's like, she not going. Why didn't you tell me about this earlier? Type thing. So she got the globe. She found the globe, and I stayed up with that and did the project. Something I should have had done a long time ago. But I remember that this was definitely 5th grade. And I remember every night I would just spin that globe. And I just close my eyes, I would close my eyes and just stop on places. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go and that globe became a fascination for me. My mom, she still has that in her house. But that's really is that project just, I don't know what it was, having that globe and just seeing the world and seeing it was one of them things. It wasn't flat. It had you saw the mountain ridges on it, the different colors. And I'm looking at all the countries and I just became fascinated. I'm like, I want to go here. I want to go here. I want to do this. I just want to travel my whole life. I knew that in 5th grade. And this globe was the spark to really And yeah, for a long time, I just, and every now and then, like, I was moving, like, even through elementary, junior high, high school, every now and then I would just be in the room just playing with that globe. Like, one day I'm gonna go here. Just crazy places like, ooh, Afghanistan. I'm like, okay, all right. I just want to go. It didn't matter to me. I just wanted to go everywhere. It didn't matter. I just wanted to travel the world. So then once I like really just, started doing that, I think the first place I went to was London. People lean on the name Paris, or they lean, it's like I'm gonna make a sports reference. It's like a basketball team that, you're from Chicago. It's like the New Age Bulls trying to live off of, like, well, we the Bulls. It's like that was Michael and them. That was Michael and them. That wasn't y'all. Y'all different. Y'all ain't the same. Like, you didn't do that. So you trying to live off of Michael's legacy. But this is it's a whole new decade. Like, what are you doing now? And I think that tends to happen in Paris, is that, it's different, especially in the arts too, with, like, whether it's in hospitality, but in arts you see, like, artists that, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm Paris. You can leverage that, and I think it makes people, in a way, just, it makes people not put as much of an effort in things. It's like, yeah, but you get to show your things in Paris. So I don't have to do anything. You're happy. You should be happy that your stuff is in Paris, right? It's like, nah, it's not how things work. It's like the reason why Paris has the name that it does is because people put a great deal of care and effort into things. And you can't just now say, oh, it's Paris. It's like, yeah, but there was a reason why it has that reputation. And now you're just trying to live off it by doing the minimum amount of work. I think that's the attitude, like, even with French cuisine or these type of things. It's like, I'm not, but it's these, they do have a rich history here. There's a rich history, but when you're just living off the history and not like, okay, but how have you evolved it? How are you moving now? How do you exist in today's world with it? Has it advanced? And if you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, but this is what it is, it's how it creates that type of, I think, mentality that carries over into a lot of different things. For me, I never actually considered the French people rude. I'm just like, they just don't give a fuck. They also, whether it's a restaurant or something, it's like, bro, I don't have to work for tips here. That's not there's not a tip culture in the same way that you, like, your pay is your tips. So the whole being nice for that, that doesn't exist within the culture. And I think that's across the board. And I also think that there's a certain social safety net that exists here to a degree that, your job is and also an acceptance of where you're at. Like, your job is your job. You're going to make this amount of money. If you do that, it's like, I don't have to go above and beyond, which I think permeates throughout American culture. It's like, if I do this, I'll get a raise, or it's like, we're doing, so it creates people that are more, let's call it, friendly. But at the same time, I do think it also creates more of it's like people are doing it for reasons. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it comes from something. Like, well, why are you being nice? I don't got to do that to you, and that's been in their culture for years. So now they haven't had to develop that type of behavior where they have to, in order to get further into the world, they have to behave this way. Maybe it's created for other reasons, but for the most part, talk to people like friends out here. We talk about, let's even say, ownership of, a home. It's like, yo, man, the job I'm gonna get this job. I'm gonna get my contract. I'm gonna just try to get my Social Security, and that's good. The upward mobility that, the games that you got to play in corporate America don't exist in the same, I feel, capacity in the same way. Where you're at is the class, that system that exists here, where even though America, we have race and class, and they're synonymous with each other at a lot of times, there's a certain ceiling here that people accept from birth. It's not like the way American capitalism works is, whether or not, it don't matter if I come from the bottom, it don't matter where I come from, I can always shoot for that American dream. That's not the French culture. It's just like, yeah, you get your life, you have your family, maybe I get to a certain point, but that's not a driving, that at least I feel it was at one point. I think it's changed over time. Of course, we live in a global society now, but I don't think it permeates the culture in the same way. So I think it creates a certain approach to the world. So it's like, yeah, I don't have to kiss your ass in the same way that we have to do. That people have to do. I don't think it exists in the same way. And so I think that's one thing that I've noticed. And it's like, oh, for me, that never really bothered me. I'm like, I think because probably I relate to it. Like, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna get mine regardless. Like, you ain't gonna stay. I'm not trying to work for nobody. I'm trying to work for myself. So I'm not gonna play your games in the same way. And I feel like, cause I can connect with that, and I'm like, okay, I kind of respect that. He don't give a fuck about. I'm not give a damn what me think. It's like, hey man, like. But they can be rude. Because they can be rude. They're rude because they can be. Like, the society allows it. It's like, yo, you can have bad service. My friend the other day needed something. They said the person was rude to them on the phone. I think they said something about delivery. They had delivery to the place, and the delivery driver was like, yo, are you at home? It's in French, but are you at home? It's like, no, I'm not there. And he's like, ah. It's just like real rude with her. Just rude. Just then like hung up the phone, or if one friend they got a wrong pizza order. He's like, yo, y'all got me the wrong order. No, we didn't give you the wrong order. Click. It's like they don't care. Like, I don't care. What you gonna do? You complaining is not. You might get fired. You do that to a customer in America. That man's not losing his job here. So that's it's like they don't have to care. It's in the society. Out here, it's what I see on a regular is forward facing. If somebody just sees me forward facing, maybe one, just the way I dress and my vibe, they're immediately going to assume that I'm not French. So I don't have to, like, at least, and even if I am from a Franco-African country, they're like, man wasn't born and raised in Paris, right? I don't just strike as a Parisian. It's my style different. Like, got the locks, I'm Rasta. So they get these vibes. So that's not really the forward-facing thing. But if somebody sees me, they're going to immediately, maybe Caribbean, but from like Martinique or something like that. Right? But as soon as I open my mouth, whether it's in English or French, definitely in English, but it's that they're gonna start immediately interfacing with me as an American, depending. So then race no longer becomes the same construct in which they're evaluating you by or interacting with you as. Whichever countries are, whether you're Ghanaian, whether you're Nigerian, whether you're from Kenya, the first thing that you're going to identify there is your tribe. So, it's like, what tribe are you? That's your first identifier in life, as opposed to in America where you black. That's your first set. So that's where we're starting at. So the difference with them is like, oh, I am, this is my tribe. And then the second thing is like, if I go outside of the country. So if somebody is Yoruba is there. That's how they're going to identify in Nigeria. The second thing they're going to say is like, oh, I'm Nigerian. If they meet a Nigerian abroad, like, oh, you're Nigerian. You're Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. Now Nigerian is the second thing. Third is blackness, because that only exists within a white dominant society, or a white dominant power structure. Because we talk about South Africa, right? And so, with that being the case, here is once it's made aware that, which I've noticed from once it's made aware from people that are from here that you're American takes precedent over your blackness. And so I've seen the direct, situations that I've had with friends that immediately things are changed. So one time, it was after I was mentioning earlier, we had one of the musicians out from Philly that I connected with after a show, like, go to the side. Everybody's hanging out outside, and somebody's like, "Yo, man, I want to, we go over here smoke a J." So I'm like, we're chopping it up. People are chopping it up. We're just hanging out. I was like, yeah, let's get the other musicians. We're just hanging out talking, and it's crazy. Before he even pulls out one of them, and mind you, these are. It was like a couple of us are black, some of them are white. It's a mixed group. One of the white guy, he has a J in his sock. Wherever he had it. But these cops just roll up out of nowhere. Like, oh damn, like I'm just like, oh, I don't got my paperwork. We about to in my head. I'm not doing, but I'm just in my head like, yep, I know it. It's a wrap for me. It's a wrap. Because just my experiences in the U.S. and my experiences, that's like, that's a whole deal. I'm like, man, I do not want to get caught up in another country. I don't know what, I don't even know what the laws are. How much can you have anything on you, So, and look at me and say, it's like, everything, it's like, it's cool. So cops come, and then they say, they check, patting us down. I'm just like, they can just stop and frisk? So I didn't realize that there was even a stop and frisk culture out here, which they do. It's like, check your bag, and they start, and so want to see ID. It's like, so what are you guys doing over here? And because it's an off street away from the club we were just at. It's kind of this, nobody's really hanging out there, so I guess that was suspicious. So they're like, yeah, pull out the ID. Soon I just noticed they talking to me a certain way, and at this point I don't got no like level of like French, really. This is like very in the early days, and as soon as I pull out that American passport, it's like, American, okay. How you liking France? Like the whole, like, and everybody's just looking there. Everything changed. So I'm like, okay, but when you thought I would, like, it was a very hard, rigid, the way you were approaching, the way you're speaking to us. It's like, okay, they stopped searching. They didn't even find the weed. They just stopped. It was like, okay, so what? It's like, yeah, what are you guys doing over here? I said, oh yeah, I just finished doing a show. Oh, you're a musician? Oh, I rap. Oh, you're a rapper? Oh, that's cool. Oh, I like rap. Listen to Snoop Dogg, Tupac. You're an American, especially a Black American. It's cool to them. It's like, oh wow, not only Black American, and you rap? Oh, this is amazing. I've always wanted to meet an American rapper, some shit like that, And they're like, oh yeah, it's like, of course, where you're from. It's like, well, I'm also Jamaica. Oh, Jamaica, okay, Bob Marley, okay. Just all these things that they completely switched up. But if I was to say like, yeah, my paperwork, if they saw that Congolese passport, they saw Senegal, they saw something like that, they would have been I have no doubt in my mind it would have been a completely different experience. But I just saw them just switch up. And, doing all these shows at the time in France, working with this band, I'm like, this is lit. Everybody's loving us. All these French people like all coming up to me, just saying how much they just love the vibe, and it's so cool to have this, like to hear like American rapper in Paris performing live. Like, I don't got no name. I'm just like some of this. I was up there freestyling, rocking, vibing, and they just was loving it so much. And the homie pulled me aside to say, hey man, I know they're loving you. I know you have it, like you're killing it. Just don't forget, they love you because a part of the reason they love you is because your blackness has been sanitized by America. The black artists during the Harlem Renaissance in Paris, the artists that were coming here, even though there was a black population here, it wasn't like black musicians were coming here and necessarily mixing in the same way with other Africans from the diaspora. They were coming here and assimilating within French, white European culture. Is because the proximity to that is closer. We're closer to that proximity than we are to somebody that's coming from Congo or coming from Mali or coming from Cameroon. And so once I started realizing, I said, oh wow, so yeah, America has sanitized our blackness as, intentionally, of course, So you see it, and I think, like, of course, people. We're going to get in a conversation of what is blackness, what is this, but so when we talk about, so really, if we want to be more specific, it's sanitized our African, it stripped us of our Africanness. And in France, that's where their rub is with, it's not necessarily black, it's African. So they don't view us as African. And so because of that, I think that, you know, that provides a certain level of privilege here, of course. And so for me, it's like always being aware of that when I step into spaces or how I maneuver in spaces. And, you know, I mean, all my friends in France are black. They're from different multiple cultures, and I have them, which I have a huge multicultural group of black people that I'm associated with, of African people and Caribbean people. And, you know, that's something that I'm always aware of when I maneuver in spaces, and even when I go into spaces, or if I'm showing somebody Chateau Rouge or Chateau d'Eau, I don't approach it like, and look here, and like put in like, you know, it's like, hey, when we walk through, it's like, you know, I know that you would never probably come over here unless, you know, I show you, like, you know, where people shop and where people eat or where people are around in these different places. And it's but you see the difference, and it's recognizing that privilege, that whether or not we ask for it or not, you have to be aware. I always maneuver in a space that I'm aware of it, because if something were to happen, I was out here for the protest, and I was involved in it, and, you know, some people say, oh, I'm not going to involve in that because it looks crazy. But part of me knew that if something goes down, it's just even knowing that, it's like, I got an American passport on me. So that's going to give me flexibility in terms of how I maneuver in this space. But if I had a passport from, you know, another country, that paperwork that paperwork changes. That paperwork changes. It's about what's on your paperwork. What's the color of your passport? What's the stamp on there? That's what exists out here when it comes to blackness. They don't. It's like, you know. So, yeah, France is desensitized. France is sanitized. America is sanitized our Africanness, and to me, it's very prevalent in France.